Welcome to La Mesa Talks, where we are about to flip the script on the age-old belief that success means sacrificing your well-being. I'm Oscar Mota, and today we're diving into something revolutionary. The intersection of creativity, of creative vitality, and physical wellness. I'm incredibly excited, and really I can say so, incredibly excited to welcome Diego Carrete, Chief Wellness Officer at First Abu Dhabi Bank, and a massive entrepreneur and the mastermind behind the Lean Executive, the Fit Life, Leaner, and a bunch of other fantastic projects. I know, I was a client. Diego has transformed the narrative around corporate wellness, proving that building a lean, energetic body isn't just possible for busy executives, it's essential. This creates a sustained creative performance. And this is what makes Diego's approach fascinating. And it's just not the impressive titles that he has, but it's the transformations that he's led in the bank and the thousands of lives that he has touched as well, with his deep understanding on how physical wellness directly impacts creative energy and innovation. His journey from a busy executive to a wellness pioneer, combined with his practical frameworks for a sustainable health, offers a fresh perspective on creative sustainability. So grab your coffee or grab whatever gets your creative juices flowing, and let's start. Diego, I couldn't be more excited for this, because this is a debt that we had for many, many years. So really welcome. We appreciate you very much. Again, we admire you very much. We follow you very closely, and we couldn't be more excited of having you in La Mesa Talks.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here. I love this cup. I love it. My daughter will love it even more. So yeah, you might get more requests from our end.
Inshallah, like they say here. We built this, and we built this purposely because we want to send messages. We have something in La Mesa called the kindness movement. We're always saying about the first thing, the baseline is be kind. In a world where you can be anything, be kind. So let's start from the beginning. And I always say this, let's start from the beginning. What are you up to right now? Because the list is so long. What are you up to right now?
Well, I had to narrow my focus. Since the journey with Fab, I had to narrow my focus. So before, I was serving 80, 90 executives per quarter through my private consultancy business. Now I had to reduce that number massively because the corporate wellness endeavor took priority, and it's exciting, it's growing, and it requires my attention. Why? Because even though it's just one institution, the impact transcends to thousands of people through the initiatives and the power that the bank has itself, right? So now I'm just purely focusing those two things. I'm focused on corporate wellness as Chief Wellness Officer and as CEO of the Lean Executive.
The Lean Executive, which is a fantastic program. We link everything in our descriptions, in our messages, so people can have some visibility. Because we bring people that we admire, and we have learned lessons before, and we want the people that follow us and check this content also to learn this.
That'd be amazing.
But we're going to start again. Now that we've touched on this, I want to start by asking, how did this wellness journey, because you were a cover model, personal trainer, creative, so how this wellness journey influence your approach to creativity and innovation?
Well, the wellness journey has been there pretty much since I was 14 years old, right? I'm a weird hybrid amongst many different personas. And I think that has been a privilege. So I was a personal trainer after having graduated from 3 different universities with a GPA of 3.8, right? So I had the audacity or my dad says, the bravery of, after finishing school in America, you started from the ground, from scratch, as a personal trainer, charging, $20 per hour. And that many experiences together is what formed the kind of hybrid individual that I believe I am today. Now, having said that, wellness has been something that has been ingrained in my day-to-day, and I cannot envision myself functioning without well-being being my top priority. So how did wellness impact my creativity? Or it's the baseline for everything, because creativity is, well, we'll have time to talk about creativity, but essentially it's been there forever, and I don't envision myself functioning at any other level without
it's
this.
Historically has been this message where I'm going to butcher the Latin, but I'm not going to say it. So in sane body, sane mind, sane body, and sane body, sane mind. Right? You need to have a foundation where your vehicle, it's tuned and it's working to really serve what you want to do. Right? We spend 8, 9, 10 hours sitting down, eating bad, focusing on other stuff, and we're not focused on our well-being, right? So you cannot fuel your mind if you don't fuel your body correctly. So this is why we make the connection. This is why we wanted to really dig into that message that you have into, and this gives me a perfect segue, for example, for the next question, which is, what are the most significant misconceptions about wellness in the corporate world? Because it's not just like do chair yoga. What's the most common misconception?
I think the biggest misconception is that they are mutually exclusive. People think that it's either one or the other. Another misconception is that it is about volume, about doing more, when in reality it's about shifting the narrative and doing better, changing what you're currently doing and applying that wellness edge to it. So fundamentally, I think once you understand that wellness, you can be healthy and be busy, and that is not about doing more, it's about doing differently, and the essence relies on the strategy that you use, then everything changes.
Absolutely. And then now, moving into a more strategic overview on how those two mix, because you had a pretty much, and this is what I loved about your programs. It was a true tailor-made approach into who are you, what do you need, and where do you want to be. Like, I'm going to tell you what you need to do, right? I'm going to serve you the plate of food, but you need to do it. But I know you, and I know specifically what you need. Now, extrapolating that into what you're saying, thousands of people. I'm very interested, I'm very curious to know a creative breakthrough for you that sort of led into a transformation in the organization. Like when was an aha moment that, like you're saying, it's not volume, it's quality. And that applied into, I don't know how many employees there are, 4,000, 5,000, but what was a creative breakthrough that show you that the power of that message of wellness?
Well, I would give you an example from the B2C field because it's easier to grasp, right? So instead of talking about an organization, let's talk about an individual. And starting with myself, I was someone who always neglected sleep, right? Because sleep is for lazy people, or you're missing out, you will sleep when you're dead. I'm sure you've heard that before. It cannot be further from the truth. From an evolutionary perspective, sleep wouldn't make sense. When you're sleeping, you are vulnerable to predators. When you're sleeping, you are not gathering, hunting, reproducing. So why is sleep still there? It must be important, right? So when I started prioritizing sleep, I understood and I felt that what I just shared, which is, it's not about doing more, it's about doing better. So when I start working with an executive, at the end of the day, organizations are made of executives, employees. So you have to understand the hierarchies, you have to understand the cultural differences, but you are dealing with individuals at the end of the day. So when you understand that the moment you impact the sleep of an individual, performance increases, then of course output increases as well, and everything around them. So in that respect, the breakthrough was when I fixed my own sleep and when I started fixing my clients' sleep, and then that translated into everything else.
You experiment on yourself first, and the transformation, the small tweaks, Because at the end, at your level, it's just incremental gains, right?
100%.
At my level, a change might be a game changer, right? So I like that you experiment, because you walk the talk, like they say. It's like,
Yes.
listen, if you're doing 9 hours of sleep, you're gonna change this, and this. No, but I have 2 kids. Yeah, I have 2 daughters as well. Like, yeah, I'm not talking about yourself. You know? Like, it's really imperative that you do these changes in order for applying other stuff. Now, if we dig a little bit deeper into this, human transformations of executives, because in the corporate world, they have this thing that when you reach a certain level in the C-suite or an executive or a higher position in the hierarchy, you become to sort of detach yourself from that human self, and that position start defining who you are, how you act, how you live, right? But what I like the most about this, not only the answer but the approach of how you do things, is like, no. You are an executive, but you are a human first, and you are a dad first, and you are a friend first. Good, you have a title, but you know, how do you help executives within the, and I know it's a little bit hard, but once it transcends human into corporate, how do you help, or what would you be your best approach into maintaining energy, creative energy throughout the day? We've touched sleep, but are there other steps in that ladder?
In terms of energy is the fuel. Like, without energy, you cannot function. It's the baseline of everything, right? So I think the ultimate currency nowadays is energy. People like energy more than they like other type of things. So how do you cultivate that? Well, one fundamental piece of the framework is sleep. Second one would be your intake, your food intake.
Yeah.
And the third one would be, I think those are the 2 main pillars. We could say hydration as well, because if you are drinking less, you're going to feel depleted and lacking energy. But I would say sleep and nutrition are both directly correlated with your energy output. And those are the 2 main levers that people need to prioritize before thinking of doing anything else.
Very, very cool. And it simplifies a lot of the complicated things that you like, oh no, and I need to have time and I need to make time on this thing. Like, I was attending triathlon, and it requires at least 15 hours a week of training, right? I don't like getting up at 5 a.m., but I don't have time to do it. So the situation, I remember a lesson you told me, if you want to do load, do it earlier, because if you do it late at night, you're not going to sleep, right? And I think about you when I'm cycling, when I'm running at 9 p.m., because it has an impact, right? So I want to dig a little bit deeper on that framework of yours. You have sleep and you have nutrition plus hydration. Are there any other pieces of the puzzle that you include, i.e. mental health, or for us male, just talk a little bit more, or communication, that it's not related into physical or wellness, but also other, in your framework, are other pieces of that puzzle?
Definitely mental and emotional health, the conversations that you have with yourself. However, when you fix sleep, you will experiment incremental.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's that, right? The ultimate productivity hack or app is airplane mode, right? You shouldn't be looking into productivity hacks or mental health hacks if your notifications are on. I'm sorry. I think there is phases that you must go through, and instead of thinking of what can I add, is like, how can I remove? What do I need to remove? What stimuli, attention grabbing mechanism do I need to remove from my day-to-day so I can go back to baseline, and to basically, how can I remove the 21st century from my life as much as possible? And I think that's a fundamental thing that I've learned, which is not about doing more, it's about doing better. And that, yeah.
I like that. I like when we're talking to, I mean, I personally, I'm learning so much in these conversations, because we've interviewed friends, we've talked to really amazing people in each branch of their industries, of what they do, and this particular line remove 21st century as much as you can for your life. It's just so simple yet so complex in itself. In terms of, I did it, you can do it for yourself. So as a part of the framework is just look into that evolutionary primal position, you say?
Yeah, I would say, like, looking back at when it comes to eating, what is healthy, what isn't healthy, would your grandmother recognize it? If the answer is no, probably you shouldn't eat it, or that should be in the 20% of things that you can eat daily, following the 80-20 rule, right? 80% of the things coming from single ingredient, natural, good, healthy sources, and 20% from, whatever source. So what fits into that 20%? Look, go back to, 100 years ago. Would your grandma recognize this food?
For sure, no.
Yeah. Then don't eat it, or then put it inside those 20%. And that's how I like to think about things sometimes. Can you read every single word and every single ingredient in the pack of food or cereal that you're having? Probably you shouldn't then eat it. You cannot recognize the ingredients, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I'm very curious, and again, we could talk for days, Diego, I'm sure, but I want to really, like, as a point of lesson, and La Mesa Talks was created in order for us to have a documented curiosity from my part and from our part into all the wonderful people that we're trying to give a platform to say more of these things, right? So as a matter of pragmatic, of utilitarian lessons, how, like, from your perspective as executive, not as expert in wellness, you are an executive expert in wellness for sure, but your entrepreneurial experience in your day-to-day, how has wellness and these ideas of the 80-20, remove the 21st century from your life, have a framework, improve your sleep, improve your nutrition, improve your hydration, experiment with these things, how this wellness idea has transformed the way wellness is perceived in your organization, in a bank, which is, like, of all things, right? How has transformed?
I need you to reframe the question, Oscar. You mean how my day-to-day wellness practice influenced?
How this framework that you've created and your experience, well, you come into Fab and they say, okay, we are seeing, we want to see more productivity. We want to see happier employees. We want to see healthier employees, not because you have to tick a box. This speaks very well of the organization that is dedicated into improving employees' life, right? It speaks very well.
Yeah.
So how has wellness impacted that not ticking the box?
Well, it's very early to say, and actually to bring objective metrics, because we need time to focus on trend lines and not just on headlines. The wellness industry loves to focus on headlines, but we need to focus on trend lines. Not how do we achieve this, how long can we sustain it. So it's a little bit too soon to speak about objective metrics. However, facts speak for themselves. And I'll give you an example from 2 weeks ago. I met the CEO of Spartan. They gave us, and thankful to that, they gave us 300, 400 tickets. We brought everyone. We maxed out the capacity in terms of how many people we brought to Spartan. So we sent a mailer. Spaces are filled out. So people want this, people need this, people crave this, and people are getting healthier. Families were there, right? So every time we launch an initiative, it might take a bit of time to basically fill out the slots or sometimes to get it across the organization, but people are raising their hands. Voluntarily, we have a WhatsApp group with 1,000 people. 1,000 people are voluntarily inside a WhatsApp group that has different subgroups. So the proof is in the pudding.
It speaks for itself.
Yeah, it speaks for itself, right? Now, when it comes to surveys, you can see basically how the perception of employees change and improves over time, right? Recently, I forgot the source. I have it on in the tip of my tongue, but we got fourth in terms of the best place to work worldwide in terms of wellness initiatives or wellness. So what we put out there on socials, what people speak, the word of mouth is very powerful. And, we are finding a way to bridge the gap between, what people want.
So it's how you have brought the traditional approach into communicating, engaging, into interacting with this newer way of, because we want to be healthier. Of course, employees want to be healthier. We're self-aware.
Yes.
Like I always have a joke. Culturally, Lebanese, which I'm very close to, they have this thing that before they saying hi, it's like you gained weight or you lost weight, and things like, you don't think I see myself in the mirror every day? I know. Like, don't ask me that. Right? We are self-aware. We want to know more. And for me, what's fantastic, it's that personally, you've done that. You broke that ceiling into saying, I'm going into corporate to transform this, because I know you, and this is not an endeavor that you're doing just because, you don't need this. You want this.
Yeah.
And this is what's so admirable in this exercise is saying, listen, guys, I bring a wealth of experience, but I need your platform. And you're using this platform and you're transforming now thousands of lives, which is in my opinion, fantastic.
That's not, it's not a job for me. I don't have a job. I'm jobless. Why? Because the two things that I do, I would do them even, of course I need to sustain myself and my family, but there are things that I do out of, honestly, I don't see myself living any other way. So I'm very grateful for that. And the bank, to me, the greatest thing is the ability to multiply the impact and the reach. That,
That in itself is fantastic.
It is.
And you still continue your own practice, which is a legacy thing, which is the lean executive, where you just pour out all your wisdom into helping people outside that corporate frame.
I need my own thing. And even though I have, we have New Me, which is our wellness brand, and it's sort of an entrepreneurial endeavor in a way, in the way that we run things, I still need, my origins. How in 2020, I didn't know what to do and I needed to start something from scratch from my living room. I made it into a 7-figure business, right? So I need that. And if I need to decrease the headcount in order to keep it running, because to me, it's not about hiring coaches and let the business run and scale. Some clients come to me, Diego, I can help you scale. It's like, dude, I don't want to scale. I'm happy with my exclusive group of executives where I can connect. This is not about scaling. I know how to scale a business. I will launch a subscription business. For me, money follows impact. And for me, it's the relationships that I've built within my coaching group that have led to relationships, to business opportunities. Wellness is a vehicle. I always say I'm in the relationship business. I'm not in the wellness business. Wellness is just what I do. The foundation is relationships.
You're a teacher, you're a mentor. I mean, we've discussed this multiple times over. The power of mentorship in one's life is invaluable. Having a mentor, having someone to refer to and say, like, listen, there's something, pivot, go in this direction, improve your sleep. Have you walked 10,000 steps today? Have you drank 2-3 liters of water today? All this that become more than boxes that you need to tick, right? And what I find it more exciting is how you are in a position where you are inspiring newer generations into that great line that you also share with us. I am focused on trend lines, not on headlines. You're not an influencer. Yes, you are a cover model. And,
good old days.
But not so old. But you became more than that. It's like you didn't let that define you. How do you think new generations, because you are also impacting newer generations, not only executives, and executives are not 50-year-olds only. How do you see newer generations prioritizing wellness over the more traditional sort of corporate path or more traditional stuff?
This is a very good question, in fact. One of my mentors, Peter Attia, defines this as the difference between health span and lifespan. Newer generations understood two things. First one, that why do you want to live longer if you're not living better? And second of all, I don't need a company to make my own money. I can go viral on YouTube and just get monetized ad revenue, right? So when you give options, then intentionality comes and shows up. So because I have options, I'm intentionally choosing this job if I do. Why? Because of how much you pay me, because how you treat me, because of the culture, because of my career progression, because of my personal growth, because of how many wellness benefits I'm going to get. Am I going to be able to travel? Do you give me this type of mentorships? Can I evolve and grow as a person? Am I going to be healthier 10 years down the line when I leave this company? Or am I going to be looking towards retirement because I'm burned out? And that's the fundamental shift that new generations have come across.
And what I find it wonderful is how you expanded your own understanding and span on wellness. Like, yes, you were very much focused on physical wellness, including stuff on mental health, of course, and emotional health, because this has always been a part of your message. But now from the corporate perspective, how you explain that chief wellness officer that applies to a bank or applies to a small company like us or whatever it is, into how, like I tell my team, my job is to understand how I take you from here to here with all that adding up that you're doing. How do you see then that this new, because it's a new-ish position in an executive environment, how do you see this, I'm going to call it position again, evolving in the future?
I feel I could talk for days on this subject because I really reflected a lot. I think it's evolving from being a reactive role to more of a proactive, long-term oriented role. Simon Sinek defines this as the infinite game. We must see companies as infinite businesses so they can transcend and evolve once we have left the organization. So wellness has become part of that infinite game, right? Wellness has become a big pivotal role in making a business last. And not only, okay, I'm reaching out to wellness when I don't feel really well or when I see employee burnout through the roof, but more when, okay, where do I want to be in 50, 40, 30 years? And how am I going to prepare for that? And that aligns with the vision of the region, which is fantastic. That's why the region is also extremely focused on wellness, because they understand sustainability, they understand future generations.
It's very nice how they have that space into, and this is why we're here, this is our home, but they have space for experimenting stuff because of the why not. Let's build the tallest tower in the world. Why? Why not? It's the largest, whatever you can imagine, the deepest pool. Let's create the best and the most better kept company in the world. Why not, right? And I think it's Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince, said it. I see this, the Middle East, as the Europe of the future, that influence, right? But I also think Europe is learning from what you're saying, for the space of just experimenting and for example, what's happening now, not necessarily in the startup world, creating those spaces and saying we need to be proactive and not reactive. We need to figure out how to prevent and not to cure.
100%.
And then that impacts the way I see it, the way I understand and beautifully how it impacts then from the corporate world, potentially in the future, the healthcare industry as well, right? Pharmaceutical industry, like you move from another perspective because the consumer is going to ask for something different.
Yeah, absolutely. The ask is different.
The ask will be different. So I don't want pills to be better. I want frameworks to, from the get-go, like we have small kids. What are we teaching them, right? What's the lesson? What's the lesson there? Let's talk about the lean executive now for a moment. What's your vision for the lean executive and for leaner as well? because it's your thing with your wife. It's a family business, which makes it even more lovely. We've talked about the corporate world. Cool. We love what's happening and the impact you're having. But now comes the potential large-scale thing. What's the future? What's the vision for Leaner and the Lean Executive?
Well, Leaner actually evolved into the Lean Executive, right? Okay. So Leaner is sort of the previous version, the 1.0 version. The Lean Executive is the 2.0 version. Where do I see the Lean Executive going? I would love to continue my success rate at close to 100%. I went from taking any client to choosing my clients. And I have plenty of calls where I politely say, we are not the right fit. I cannot help you because my business is energy. And if we are not in the same wavelength, it doesn't mean that you are a good person and I'm a bad person or vice versa. Marriages sometimes don't end because there is just no match. So it's the same thing. So I want to keep my success rate at close to 100% as possible and make sure that every person that comes through the doors transforms. In terms of scaling, as I said before, I'm not sure. I don't see myself increasing the volume, but what I see myself doing is after I observe sufficient success and in that trend line, emerge to another business which I have in my mind, which is Linux.
Okay.
And Linux, what's going to do is to teach fitness trainers how to advance into corporations and learn how to actually serve this new consumer.
You've heard it here first. You've heard it here first.
It's the first time.
which is, and it speaks to your kind nature, your mentor nature, your teacher nature. It's like, I did it. I experimented myself. Let me tell you, if you want, how could you be successful with this, but doing it the right way?
Yeah, I think not that I lost the spark, because I love extending people's lifespans and health spans, making them better. Like, testimonials are just incredible. Once you see my LinkedIn, you will see the recommendation section. I put a lot of attention to those things because for me, I can talk about myself for days. But what you guys say about my work is the ultimate goal. So it's not that I lost the spark with coaching executives, but I have found another group of people who are very talented, very hardworking, and it's my younger self as a fitness trainer. I've learned so many lessons on how I need to format my knowledge to sell and impact companies. Imagine how the world would look like in 20 years if every organization has a chief wellness officer or a head of corporate wellness or a corporate wellness specialist. The impact that will create in the world and in the region is huge. So that's why I feel like I can coach and mentor these people. And that's why the new spark has emerged, because I know that a lot of people that have incredible knowledge in the fitness space, they just don't have the acumen and the knowledge to format that wisdom and put it in a corporate framework. And that's what I want to do.
Because sometimes you discover your passion for fitness or wellness through practice, through seeing how to transform your life in a way, right? So, I mean, with all due respect to people that did it, but I lost 100 kilos. Let me show you how I did it, right? So it becomes part of a life of some, but that doesn't mean that you know how to run a business, right? So this is what Linux is about. Will it be a local, a global, a digital? Because it's transforming every time, right? And
I always start with the GCC. The GCC has given me, UAE specifically, opportunities to rebuild my life, build my businesses.
I want to, Diego. We've discussed that the corporate world and FAB and FAB, and I'm very interested in understanding now, how are you going to take Linux? How are you going to take this new business model forward?
Start locally, grow globally, and locally to me is the GCC, is the industry that I know, is the place that I value, respect, and has given me most of my experience in the professional side of things. So I feel I would start here I feel also the country has the vision to basically, I feel like I'm actually at the intersection between fitness professionals that are qualified and they are looking for new opportunities, and companies actually need this talent. They need this service. But there is no union. There is nothing in between that can format this knowledge and adapt it to this new environment. That's why I think that the opportunity arises.
Exactly. You have the corporate mentality now. You understand corporate lingo. You create the space, you educate the professional, and then you place it. Like it's round. I see it round.
And I'm helping both sides of the equation, right? The professionals that need the expertise to provide to companies, and the companies that need talent
to create those spaces on true wellness, for productivity, for longevity, and again for retention.
It's a different ballgame. You cannot compare B2B and B2C when it comes to wellness. It's very complicated. I have my own mentor since 3 years, Olivier Girard, is an occupational health specialist. He's been hand-holding me in many areas of my corporate growth. He has 2 decades of experience in occupational health. There is so much nuance to how do you integrate wellness in the workspace that is not just...
Send an email that we have tickets for a race.
Yeah.
It's so deep. It's much deeper.
Yeah, and I'm starting my journey, but I know that, inshallah, in 15, 20 years down the line, I will be a reference for not only the region, but the world in terms of incorporating wellness at the workspace and making workspaces healthier and companies healthier.
And also, I think the UAE, I mean, it's our home. It's where we start our businesses. It's where we're doing our thing right now. It's just a very particular place in which you have access to different audiences, different net worth audiences as well, different nationalities, different languages. So you have this microcosm, micro-universe in just a country of 9 million people that can allow you to do so many things.
You just said it yourself. It's La Mesa. It's the ability to speak eye to eye with different individuals of different walks of life, and
like truly sharing knowledge, like truly creating stuff with purpose. Like why we say in La Mesa, we do purposeful beauty.
Yeah,
we are in the pursuit of purposeful beauty all the time. Diego, I could talk for days and days with you, and you know it. Again, we appreciate very much your presence here, your wisdom, all the nice learnings, and the fact that you're sharing your private ideas with us, which honors me very, very much. But we like to close our conversation with our guests with quick fire questions.
Let's do it.
I'll throw you a question and you just reply whatever comes to mind. Favorite wellness hack for busy creatives?
Don't touch this for the first 10 minutes of the day.
Yeah. Interesting. Most impactful wellness change you've seen in an executive?
Removing alcohol.
Okay.
Before bed.
Before bed.
Yeah. For the impact that it has on REM and non-REM sleep. And just, there's a difference between being sedated and being purposefully asleep.
Yeah.
So the fact that it knocks you out doesn't mean that it's helping you sleep. It's just helping you pass out. It's different.
Wow. This scientific data doesn't lie. One wellness tool you can't live without?
Well, before it would be, a weight scale, because I would monitor my weight. Then I understood that weight is just a number, and there are so many variables that influence weight that I don't have any wellness tool. I don't use any wellness tool. Maybe once every 2 weeks I use Oura Ring. The beauty of understanding your own body and understanding the signals that it sends you, it's irreplaceable. So that's my wellness tool. The understanding and the connection with my own body.
Self-awareness, true self-awareness. Best advice, and this is a Linux question. Best advice for someone starting their wellness journey?
As a professional?
Could be.
You need to live it, to teach it. You cannot teach just from a textbook. You need to go through that. So if someone is coming to teach wellness, if someone is coming to teach corporate wellness, go there, do it, and then you can teach it. Even if it's for free, get free gigs. And once you go through that, then you can teach it. Don't teach something you haven't been through.
And I'm going to close with this one. High intensity or yoga for mental clarity?
Sauna.
Let's go to Finland.
I'll give you an example. Former client, now like yourself, became, I would say, a good acquaintance, good friend. Launched a contrast therapy business or wellness business, Banya. I never got myself either sauna or cold water. I cannot live without it now. So if you want to downregulate your central nervous system, contrast therapy works like you should see the sleep core that I currently have. I measure it every 2 weeks. I cannot explain it with words. I don't know yoga. I've tried it, but I haven't done it regularly. High intensity.
Let's quickly circle into that because it's very interesting. Contrast therapy means 45, 50 degrees sauna and then 0 degrees water, or how does it work?
Well, I would say, and he might correct me in this statement, but I think it's way hotter than that.
Okay.
I think would be, way hotter than that, and then going into cold water, cold plunge, 7, 8 degrees, and then back in. And you talk about creativity. I sometimes work from this place. Instead of a caffeine, central nervous system stimulants, go in the sauna, cold plunge, sauna again, cold plunge, get out, boom.
Wow. You've heard it first here again.
You now know how I created in my mind Linux.
Yeah.
Right? So creativity is not just a mental process, it's biological. Right?
Yeah.
You are giving your body the opportunity to be creative, not only to spark creativity, but to maintain and execute creativity.
Yeah. That's why they say it's a muscle. It's something that you need to learn how to achieve. It's not only from a mental state, but you need to have the vessel appropriately put through a bunch of things. Wow. Diego, it's been such a pleasure, man. It's been such a pleasure. You know, we respect you, we love you, we admire you very much. Personally, I admire you very, very much. Thank you for being at La Mesa Talks. Thank you for such fantastic, wonderful messages. We'd love to have session 2 and 3 and 4
well,
to talk about.
Please, let's do it. I love talking about, experiences, origin stories, future plans, how to make the world a better place, a healthier place, how if just one person watches this and can just
start.
Yeah.
For the beginning, you need to start. Today, Diego has just showed us that creativity and wellness are not two mutually exclusive things. They're just part of human nature. And most importantly, they need to come together and regulate each other to stimulate each other. In the search of purposeful beauty, this is what we do all the time. My name is Oscar Mota, and thank you once more for being at La Mesa Talks. Goodbye.